What's up, people? Can y'all hear me better now? Hopefully, you all can hear me better now. I don't know what was wrong before. Hopefully, y'all can get on. So I want to talk about it a little bit. And I was saying things earlier as I don't know my so much wrong with my internet. And I said a lot of things that people just went on. First of all, as black people, you got to have an intellectual conversation without getting personal, taking it personal, getting so mad that you just go can't even think. Some people say, "Well, you just lost a friend." I mean, well, I lost a friend because I believe Trump gonna win. Oh my gosh! Well, I guess you want no friend. And I'm really on people's I'm really on people's live anyway, so I don't get on people. When people let me tell you something, and I want you all to share this. I invited some people on from early that had a lot to say. Um, so I think I want you all to really share this. I want to have an honest conversation. And because a person thinks a certain way does not mean he's a fool. He don't mean he's a sellout. You Democrats are kind of the very thing you indict Republicans for. You're the same way. If a guy says, "I believe Donald Trump is going to win," or I'm for Trump, you go in on him. I mean, you go in. We are all Americans, and you have the right to vote for who you want to vote for. You have the right to voice your opinion. You have the right to say how you feel. You have the right to not to be pressured nor bullied in the social sphere to what it dramatically affects your vote in the private sphere. You have a right to say and do as you please. And people are talking. Uh, People are saying this. I don't know why I'm not coming in clear. What's going on? And people getting mad face and all this kind of stuff. Wendy Paulson, she's in the mad face. I guess she's mad. I don't know why she's mad. The people are dying in COVID. Don't die mad. All right. So listen, we need to have an honest conversation. When a person says they believe uh, an individual is going to win, that doesn't not necessarily believe they believe in their methods, their methodology, their morale. That doesn't necessarily believe they voted Republican or Democrat. It is, in fact, an opinion. Okay? It is an opinion that we all must adhere to. Now, I hope I'm coming in because I want to bring it to you all. If we would take responsibility over our own black businesses, our black churches, and our black neighborhoods, if we would come out in record numbers to uh, um, change our community and focus on our community like we focus on President Trump, I think we'll find ourselves in a better place in 4 more years. The problem is most of us want the president to bail us out of things that we're not in. Well, let me see. Let me see. Okay. Well, what is my audio sounding like? Jesus, is it still breaking up? Oh Lord, let me see here. It's something in North Carolina where we live and around the area. The internet's going. I believe they're tapping with the internet. It's all over. People that's working at home is not even at work because. Can you all still hear me? Is it still messing up? Let's see if we can get a better clip thing here. Is it still messing up? Hold on. No, no. Okay, is it sound better now? Let's go. Does it sound better now? Okay. I'm so since you all try to judge me by post without understanding, you can't judge somebody if you don't know the intent or why they said what they said. Okay. It's let's I'm trying to see if we get are we on. Are we on? Can you all hear me? Does it sound better? You all like and said it. So again, to have an intellectual conversation, you must understand that a person has a right. I don't care if they're black, okay? I don't care. A person has the right to vote for who they want to vote for. This is America. A person has the right to do what they want to as a grown individual should. You all are indicting black Republicans and those that won't vote for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's their right. That doesn't mean Kamala's a bad person. I mean Joe's a bad person. A person has the right to vote who they. I listen. I cover churches. I cover pastors. I cover families. I have never told any individual that I'm over who to vote for. And a lot of times, black folk, we get so emotionalized that we don't understand. We can't even hear what God is doing in the city. So one of my guests is coming on time. She's here. We're gonna bring in. Hello, hello.
Hello. How you
How are
doing?
you?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. I'm just trying to help these folks out and let them get understanding to what's what's going on. It's a critical time. It's a, it's a crucial time in America. And I said earlier, I said number earlier that I believe President Trump is going to win. Two, I know he's going to win. He's going to win tomorrow. I just think he's going to win because, and when we say this, we're not saying we agree with everything he does. We're not saying he's our pastor, he's our bishop. We're not saying we agree with all his morale. We're saying that he's the guy that God is going to use to get his will instituted in the earth. People can understand
Right. That's exactly my point too. I tell everybody that all the time that my choice is always going to be who God has chosen.
that.
Now, we don't got to agree with God and we don't have to like what God says, but what God says goes. And for me, it's all of these so-called saved people who claim to be filled with the Holy Ghost going so hard for Biden and calling me ignorant and ill-informed. And I'm trying to figure out what Holy Ghost they got. Because God isn't bipolar. He don't tell one prophet this and another prophet that. Because the prophets I know are all saying the same thing. God chose Trump, and that's that. Even if I'm not being spiritual, Trump has done things that has benefited my life. Not only that, I know for certain the things when he stood up against China, I know it benefited every chick in the hood that's selling weaves, hair, and pocketbooks and everything. Let Biden become president, and all their hood shops going to be shut down. Biden is upset about that stance that Trump took against China when Trump bought all of our business back to America. Now we have a direct connect to buy hair and everything else. Biden become president, it'll be shut down. And so people, it just behooves me as to why people don't want to know the facts. If you want to vote in the opposite way of God, know the facts on what you're voting for. People are emotional about this. They worried about what Trump said out of his mouth. Trump said a lot of stuff out of his mouth. But guess what? Tangela have said a lot of stuff out of her mouth too. So I respect the man on the fact that he say what he want to say, when he want to say it, how he want to say it. Even when he lying, he double down on it. But on the other hand, don't like little old black Tangela. He gonna look in the camera and say whatever it is that I want to feel good about, and then he's gonna implement policies and legislation that will hurt me and my black son in the long run. How do I know this? He's done it for 47 years.
Right.
He's off a good game, but his policies and legislation told a totally different story.
Right.
Even as vice president, he had the opportunity to help black people and he didn't. So, and he supposedly corrected it now.
He wants to fix his mistake.
That's right.
Fixed his mistake when we had the so-called black president.
So that's right. And then we got to understand, God told Hosea to marry a prostitute for his
Yeah.
will to be done. God used Cyrus, King Cyrus. And what gets me is people that's supposed to be saved are saying, well, why would God use a liar? Why would God use this? There's no politician that ever been a politician or president that haven't lied. And then sometimes the media twists what they say. Sometimes I say I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that when I get in office, when I become the pastor. And then when you finally get in those offices, what you thought you were able to implement and do, you may not be able to do. And so a lot of people, for the last 4 years, I would rather give him 4 more years of trying to give him the opportunity because the Democrats have had 46 years of my life. We should be really tired of them.
Right.
And most people that are Democrats can't tell me why they're Democrats.
No, they can't because they've never done the research. They've never done the research, so they don't know why. They don't understand the ideologies and the beliefs and the policies of the Democratic Party is one of oppression. And then common sense just tells us that everybody knows as a general rule that everybody does prosper under Republican control. I made a lot of money under Bush.
Yeah, we did.
When Obama was elected.
We did too, yeah.
So, and that's just common sense to my brain. Okay, and I know that under Obama, I was told, well, we're going to give you this little bit of money here, this little money there, and your job ain't never coming back to America, kiss it goodbye, and if you ain't educated, I'm sorry. That is what they told us.
Right.
Under Obama. Now, the economy crashed and everything, but some of those decisions and deals that were made was not beneficial to America or to the Black community, period. And they knew that it wasn't, but guess who pockets got bigger though?
Yeah.
See, Biden is mad right about now with Trump over China. Why? Because that's where his money is tied up at. That's who sold out to. And that's also the information that they're trying to censor, but nobody's fooled.
You're exactly right.
I'm young. I'm in my 30s, and I'm not dumb.
You're right. And the question to the Black millionaires, I wish Sean get on these Democrats. The question: why would Black millionaires? I mean, from the streets, these guys is noted. Why would Ice Cube? Why would 50? Why would they back Trump up? See, Black people don't have to give a chance.
Because they know the truth.
They know the truth. Wealthy people have an opportunity to have access to hypnosis knowledge and gain the wealth that the average Black person don't have. Now, Sean, get on the link so we can have you on the screen. So, when we were first Republicans, and Frederick Douglass and all here in Tubman, we are not the same Black folk. All right, we did have house Negroes and we have field Negroes, but we are a different type of Negro now. We got hip hop, we have the entrepreneurial entertainment. Black folks have come up, and because Black folks have come up, we're not voting for who's for the Black community and who's for we shall overcome. We didn't overcame and went back. Martin Luther King made a speech. I have a dream. That speech didn't get him killed. The speech that got him killed is when he began to talk about economic development and becoming to bring our times and our money together as Black people. They said, "Oh, he got too much power. We got to get him out of here."
That's right.
And people have to realize we're a different type of Negro now. Everybody ain't in the soup line. Everybody is not in the cheese line. So we are simply in a posture now that we're voting for the person that's going to be best for our future and our children. Everybody So everybody just going to be Democrat like the 80s and 70s no more. It got to make sense. And most of us were Democrats and Republicans because our mothers were Democrats and Republicans. So you're going to tell me 50 Cent is a sellout. You're going to tell me Ice Cube is a sellout. You're going to tell me Steve Harvey is a sellout. Ray Lewis is a sellout. Because they voted for them. You don't have to do business. You don't have to think a guy's morale is intact. To do business, you don't even have to like a guy.
No, I don't.
You don't have, If we doing business, I don't even have to like. You can pick up a nickel, I can take you a stick, and it's amazing. So go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
But no, that's true. Even for me being young, you know, because right about now I'm being called ignorant and all kind of stuff.
No, you're not ignorant.
But like I'm trying to figure out where they get this information from, and I'm like, oh, you got that from CNN.
Right.
You have not one time read one piece of legislation, one bill that has been written. Even when they passed the stimulus bill, Bishop, I read the first one was a draft. It was 1,406 pages. You can ask my children. I read the 1,406 pages. By the time they passed it, it was 886 pages. I read all 886 pages of the CARES Act. So I knew what would benefit me, what I would apply for, what I wouldn't apply for. And guess what? Even the stuff that I wanted to apply for, the Lord said no. So see, ultimately, even with the knowledge that I have, and it's something that I want to do, I seek God about it. He said no. Now, did Tangela want that extra 10 grand? Of course I did. The Lord said no. Have I went lacking in this pandemic? No, I have not. And you know what my situation is. And I'm telling you, I have not skipped a beat. As a matter of fact, my clients have closed on houses and did not come out of their pocket with a dime. I had one client that was $1,500 short. I gave them the $1,500. They still came to closing with no money. But yet these people are sitting watching sound bites from CNN, calling me ill-informed or ignorant, and they calling themselves saved, and it bothers me. The world gonna do what the world gonna do, but the Bible says that God is just. It says that he's just because he's holy. And for the life of me, I don't understand how people claim to believe to be a believer of Christ and then go against the very things that Christ is for.
Right.
Believe that we can get upset about the fact, but God is pro-life. He's pro-life. God does not like the abortions in the land. Y'all can get mad at me all you want. He does not like abortions in the land. And also, abortion should not be the every 30-day method of birth control.
That's right.
Yet we believers saying they're going to take away abortion rights when that's not even true. They just make a statement to get people emotionally aroused over an issue that does not even exist. It doesn't even exist. They're not even fighting to get rid of abortions or anything. It's just a made up thing in the media to get people, riled up. But because they're the ignorant ones going off of sound bites on CNN, won't even find out the truth about it.
Well, yes. So, Sean, you have joined us and you heard the conversation and the dialogue. I hope y'all can hear me pretty good. I also want to say this, that
I can't hear you anymore. You went low.
You can't. I don't know what's wrong with the mics. They tapping my mic. They're tapping all the mics.
I can hear you.
Me now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Let me ask you this, Sean. Thank you for coming on. Why would Planned Parenthood receive $150 million during this pandemic?
Why did they receive $150 billion is what you asked me?
Yeah.
So I think there's a misnomer about Planned Parenthood. When people say that they render abortion services, that's about 2 to 3% of their business. And without people really delving deep and knowing that they provide not only contraception, not only examinations, not only free health care at no cost, that's huge. That's huge for people. And so to me, to say that, we want to take away Planned Parenthood because they provide abortions or what have you, I think that there are a number of things that I feel about that, because I am a person who used Planned Parenthood when I was in college, when I had no money, when that was the health care. I'm not so quick to throw it out. you know. And if you don't want to have abortions, what I've yet to see, I haven't seen one person. So if they're out there, I want them to drop their comments. I've not seen one person who has challenged a person to not have an abortion to say, you know what, here's my name, here's my number. Sign me up to walk with you for the rest of your life and that child's life, because I'm going to be there and support you. I'm going to support you financially. I'm going to support you emotionally. No, nobody does that. But people want to be able to tell other people what to do with their bodies. And we say, well, you know, you can always put the child up for adoption, but let's look at the adoption system in these United States. Overwhelmingly, the children who are there are Black and brown, and they age out of the agency. And while they are there, there is a history of abuse, whether that be physical, but it's also emotional. Nobody talks about those things. And so for some mothers, they feel as though I'd rather not put my child through that than to allow them to live. And for each person, that's got to be their individual choice. And why do I say that, Bishop? Because we're not pro-life, you're pro-birth. If you were pro-life, then we would look to change the lives of those who are already here and walking in the earth, but we're not doing that. So I feel like Planned Parenthood has got a bad rap because we have really decided, and I'm not even saying we as all of us, but the wealthy landowners in this country who continue to be white men, this is really a fear tactic, if you will, because it gets to be about the numbers, because it gets to be about their numbers necessarily going down. It's not lost, and it's not a secret that the numbers for fertility, if you will, or for childbirth amongst white people has decreased over the past 10 to 20 years. And the numbers for those interracial children has increased. That's not got to make someone feel good. And so when you talk about abortions, you're saying, well, wait a minute, too many of our young kids are having abortions. We don't want that. And therefore, we're going to dismantle every organization that would, in the bigger picture, dismantle who we are as those who are able to keep power.
Okay. So the question is, and then as we get a little bit into it, why would 50 Cent, Ice Cube, Steve Harvey all go and vote for Donald Trump?
I'm glad you asked. Number one, unless you're in a booth with a man or woman, you never know who they're voting for. People talk a good game, but that doesn't mean that they're going to do that game. So let's change the question and ask, why would they say that they're going to vote for that person? Or I don't know that they actually said, I'm going to vote for this person, in that they said, I'm going to support them. So let's take them one by one. Steve Harvey, if you look at who he has been as a business person, Steve came from the streets, okay? He's had a number of failed relationships. And when you look at even what's happened with him in his business, he's not on the air as he used to be with his Steve Harvey show. He's had to kind of change around his business model. And at the time, who we thought Donald Trump was in terms of the consummate businessman, people think I'm going to hitch my star to this person because he comes and he allows you to come into his circle. And if we're doing business, as I heard you all say earlier, people want to be around people who they think can do something for them. And so Steve didn't have a problem saying, hey, you know what? I know this guy and I know that he does this, that, and the other. But if you know who he is, you know that he's also a flip-flopper, because before he was a staunch Republican, he was a Democrat who's given to several Democratic candidates, who has also, though, on the flip side, rather pay millions of dollars, him and his father, before you allow Black people to move into your buildings. So there's a duality here. There's a duality. And what we see with Donald Trump, he's trying to find legitimacy. Those of us who are from New York, and just for context, I'm from the Bronx originally. I still have family who are living in the Bronx. My people are from New York.
And I'm from Yonkers.
Okay. So we know Don DeCon. We know game when we see it. We know that Donald Trump, amongst legitimate circles, when he wanted to be brought in by the New York elite, they would not have him. So here, this is the biggest heist of them all, because you didn't want me. You didn't want to invite me to your party. Boom, I am the party. And you know what? When his presidency is over, whether that be tomorrow, whether that be in 4 years, he's going to go back to whoever he was before. And they're still not going to like you. They're still not going to embrace you. even though you've been president of the United States. 50 Cent, let's talk about him. Any man who can publicly disavow their child and say that if your child dies, it's still going to be a good day, you ought to have questions about that, brother. You ought to have questions about it.
So it seems like we demonize every black man that support Donald Trump.
I'm not going to say demonize.
But also, we just going by what people say and not looking at what they actually do.
Well, I heard you all say earlier about CNN, and what I personally dislike is the disinformation. Like every news source is not credible. That's not true. That is not true.
CNN is not credible.
CNN is not credible.
That's you're entitled to your opinion. You're entitled to your opinion because
no, it's facts. It's not an opinion.
No,
They've been reported. It's been proven
facts because facts are things that are irrefutable, and what you're saying is refutable. So there are several journalists who have been on CNN who are credible
in court within 2020. It's not refutable when they've settled in court and admitted it. This is factual. You can go look this up. They've admitted to running false stories this whole 2020 since we've been in this pandemic. They've admitted to showing.
And what's your source on that? I'm curious to know.
Saying that it was in Brooklyn, saying that this was people that were sick. This is not refutable information, honey.
And
this
what's
is
your source?
And they admitted it.
And what's your source?
CNN themselves had to admit that they did it, honey.
So CNN came on. So here's what you're saying. Then.
They had to apologize for doing it.
So what you're saying is. Because this is interesting. What you're saying is the source that's not credible suddenly becomes credible about them not being credible. That's what you're saying.
They had to tell the truth about what they ran.
But they're not
what
credible.
they've been running their stories.
They're not credible. So either they are or they're not. Right?
They're not.
When they're saying that they're not credible.
They're not credible. They're not credible. When the hospital complained and said that is not our location in Brooklyn.
Okay, ma'am, that's one thing. That was one thing. That was one.
Oh, that's more than one thing. A whole list that I can go.
One thing.
So okay, let me say this.
There was another man that was from Hurricane Katrina standing to get food that they said it was now in 2020, and that man had to call in and say and showed us the pictures that was from Hurricane Katrina. That wasn't no food line from 2020.
So if we're going to do that, then we also have to look at Fox News showing the president being at Walter Reed Hospital, saying he was there on 2 different days.
All right, now listen.
Okay. Showed that it was the same photo being within 10 minutes of each other. What we see is that there are lots of sources that can manipulate the facts, but that doesn't make the journalist. That's who I'm talking about. I want to be clear. That doesn't make the journalist not be credible. So I'm not going to just go off of CNN or Fox. I'm going to read for myself. And when we talk about demonizing black men, I've read about Ice Cube. And so, it wasn't CNN. I went and I read different articles about him. I went and read the actual court briefs about him. And since this brother has been in business with the white boy and started his basketball league, they've been involved in litigation, back and forth and back and forth. And when you start to dig and see who he's in business with, you see that he's in business with the best friend of Steve Bannon, who worked for who? Right. President Donald Trump.
Right. Okay, now let me just ask you this. So what?
I think it matters. It's not a so what.
I was thinking about Donald Trump don't mind little old black Tangela making no money. That's all that tells me. So
what I'm saying, you all are demonizing Ice Cube.
I disagree with the demonizing. I'm going to I don't think it was a demonizing. I think because people ask questions doesn't mean I'm demonizing you or vilifying you. But what we
not just you. I'm saying Black America.
But I don't even want to say with Black America doing that because what I see with other blacks is that if we question what you say, then all of a sudden I'm demonizing you. I'm not demonizing you. We should.
Okay, for example, today I said I believe Trump is going to win. People went off. I didn't say I was voted. I didn't say I wasn't. I just said I believe he's going to win. That's just like me saying I believe the Lakers going to win. That doesn't necessarily make them a Lakers fan.
Can I add to that though, Bishop? If I'm not mistaken, I think you had 2 posts, but I think it was that post where you said about Donald Trump winning, and I think it was that one. And I'm saying think because there were 2 of them, but at one of them at the end you said hashtag Donald Trump 2020. And so what one could assume, that is accurate. Assume. Is that you were supporting him. And I believe that that's the same thing that happened with Ice Cube because he did meet with this one group, but didn't want to. And it wasn't that he didn't meet with them. Now we're getting the fuller story. You really didn't like what the Democrats had to say to you, and even when they engaged you, they came back to talk to you again, admittedly, not off of CNN or anything else, but on his own Twitter page, he said he didn't want to meet with them because he didn't believe that it was going to be beneficial. And so
Okay, wait, let me say this. Gerald Perry, I sent you a link in your inbox. I want you to get on because according to Gerald Perry, everybody's misinformed.
What I think is the issue with Ice Cube is that he didn't read. He didn't read what he put out there as the platinum plan and the contract with Black America. All 22 pages of it I read. It wasn't in depth. A lot of the information was lifted from the Congressional Black Caucus and information that they've already put out there. And if you looked at the interview that he did with Roland Martin, when Roland started to explain to him how these ideas weren't new, and he asked him who he had involved, he couldn't answer. It was as if he was a deer caught in headlights. And I think in that moment that everyone wants to be relevant, everyone wants to have their voices to be heard. But when you say that you are putting together a contract for Black America, personally, and I'll only speak for me, I have an issue with that when I haven't seen you one time, brother, advocating for people to vote. I haven't seen you one time out here advocating for people to have higher wages. I haven't seen you one time talking about people having better jobs. I haven't seen you. Good job. I'm gonna go out. I can't hear.
No, there you go. I have it on mute. There you go. I think we put too much pressure on people who are successful in our community who have not been groomed for leadership. Charles Barkley, a great friend of mine, said a long time ago, he said, I am not the role model. I understood what he was saying. So my point in saying this is, I think that we demonize Ice Cube. Everybody, listen, Steve Harvey went to the White House, Ray Lewis, and Black America killed him. Let me ask you this question. If you're going to make it in this society, until Black people come together, if you're going to make it in this society, you're going to have to do business with a Jew or a white man until Black people come together. Black people have nothing to offer Black people. A barbecue shop, a nail salon. Tell me what.
I disagree with that.
The world.
I'm glad you asked.
Israel. I lived in Israel. I lived in Argentina. I lived around the world. I've been at the gutter. I understand. What do we have to offer each other besides a church or a barbecue stand or nail salon? What do we? If you're going to listen, until Black people come together, you will do business with a Jew or a white man.
And that's not a problem. I don't know who's saying that they don't want to do business, but I want to answer your question. We have the largest amount of discretionary spending, period, out of any ethnicity. So what is it that we have to offer each other? We have our green spending power. That's
but we don't support each other. I've heard you advocate for HBCU students, but every time I look on social media, people got Remy hair, they got red bottoms. We make everybody rich. We don't support each other. Watch this. We don't even go to each other's churches. We go to white man churches, and white people don't come to our churches. We sing on their songs. We play their organ. We do everything for them, but we don't count their money. Not in the administration. We don't support each other.
So here it is. Support is not support. First of all, I'm not Jesus the Christ, right? So my support doesn't have to be unconditional.
Now, which Jesus you talking about? The fictitious Jesus white America gave to us, or the real Black Jesus?
About Jesus Christ, the one who came out of the Middle East. That's what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about fictitious Jesus sitting up on nobody's wall. I ain't talking about that. And the reason I said I'm making the point is because regardless of what church I go to, and this is what the Black church doesn't get. Okay, I'm gonna talk about.
Oh no! You can't be no. I don't get you. And I love you too. You my girl. But what I'm trying to tell you is, let me tell you this. I have a problem with y'all Black folks following, and I love white pastors. They're my friends. I got them. Matter of fact, a white organization has helped me close, but Black folks don't have them again. So let me tell you something like that. Let me just tell you this right here. I'm telling you right now, as a basketball athlete and you're an athlete, I experience white society and Black society. Let me tell you this, that, and people just, and I'm not a racist because I say this, it's the truth. The average white man don't look at you as an equal.
Who didn't know that? Who didn't know that? That's not news.
So why do you follow him?
That's not news. Here it is. Here
No,
it is.
wait. You will follow him. You will follow what? Okay, but answer this. Here go. Let me give you my question. You will follow him, but name me three black pastors with a black beautiful wife, not biracial, that pastors a 90% white church in America.
A pastor with a black wife and the church is 90% white?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. Because here's the thing of it.
You ain't gonna find it. You're not gonna find it.
The truth,
No.
I'm not
You're not gonna find it.
churches like that. But you asked me a question, Bishop. So
No.
I'm gonna answer.
I'm listening.
You
I
asked
want
me
you
a question.
No. You're not gonna find it. It doesn't exist.
It's fine.
No, it's not fine.
Let me say this. Let me tell you why it's fine for me. For me, if we're going to talk about this Bible that we love and we espouse, right? Paul said, follow me as I follow Christ. And there have been plenty of pastors, black, that I have followed because I found them to be following Christ. But there have also been white pastors that I have followed, only one to be honest, that I have followed because I found them to be following Christ. I cannot speak for everyone else. So why do all the black people flock to the white people's churches? I don't know that.
But you Negroes is house Negro.
Let me just finish my point.
That's why y'all. That's
Let me just finish my point.
Go ahead.
As the black wife of a former black pastor, I know what ministry is about. I ain't sitting up here talk about something that I'm dreaming
Right.
of. I know what it is to be in ministry for 7 years, to not be supported by black people or white people. I understand that. I also understand that some of the people who supported us the hardest did not look like us. But at the same
That's
time,
right. You're saying you're preaching like my lady.
time, I wasn't coming, and I'm still not coming to preach to blacks, whites, Puerto Ricans. It's to whomever will hear and glom onto this gospel of Jesus Christ, because the gospel is not black or white. It is the gospel, period. So you can't pick and choose who's going to follow you. You can't choose that.
Well, the gospel.
Black people follow white people. I don't know, but I can tell you there are some things in some black churches that some black people don't find to be desirable. Some people want to be like, you remember the little red hen? And the little red hen came and she tried to get the people to help her make the bread. Nobody wanted to help her make the bread. But once she got the bread made, everybody wanted to eat it. That's how a lot of black people are with church. They don't want to come and help you when you got to set up them chairs and pop up them tents and all that stuff. They don't want to do that. But if you got a big, shiny church, then they're coming. I don't know how you overcome that mindset. I honestly don't.
Only in America.
Only in America, though, son. We
in America.
We're segregated and we messed up.
Only in America.
I'm telling you right now, we just messed up. Oh, I got my brother on here. I want to hear from him. I'm sure he got a lot to say. He back there smiling, and I'm enjoying all of your opinion. Doc, it's rough out here, and we want to hear your opinion as it relates to this election and the black church.
Well, I mean, what is simply we must look at, number one, is Biden and Trump. We've been hearing there's two evils. Which evil you want to deal with? The one that you already know, or the one that you're trying to figure out what he's going to do next? Now, me as a pastor and as a leader, I don't look at this presidential race, this in the same lenses as everyone else. I look at it how it's going to affect the body of Christ, how it's going to affect the kingdom of God. I look at the biblical principles of it. I don't look at what everyone say, well, you know, he's racist, blah, blah. You know what? Most black folks is racist.
Yes.
That's true.
Let's be honest. Because if you talk to most of them,
I'm very biased at times.
yes.
Well, we can't be racist. We can be racist.
So we have
I'm very prejudiced.
I pulled up some information on Biden that I wasn't too happy about that came off racist to me. But the simple fact of it is that am I electing him because of his personal beliefs, or am I electing him or voting for him or voting for Biden for their policies? Now, I'm gonna be honest with you. Lord.
All right, Sean, get ready.
Let's talk about these policies. I'm ready.
Let's talk about these policies.
I'm ready for the policy debate.
Public, and I've said this many a times.
But wait, before you say this, are we talking, because everybody on here saved, are we talking about these policies as it relates to Black people or kingdom people?
I'm talking about kingdom people.
Well, we got to go with Trump. We got to go with Trump.
Because that's what God
We got to go with Trump.
and his principle, what he's doing is in line with the kingdom of God.
You got to go with Trump.
It's not a case closed. How is it a closed case? Tell me.
Because he's standing with the principles of God.
What
Period.
What principle of God is he espoused? One.
Same-sex marriage.
And
There we go.
Abortion.
Abortion.
That's the major things right there.
Death penalty.
Shall we go on?
Please.
My daughter is 20 years old to tell you this stuff.
What goes against God they're doing?
A&T will be really proud of you right now.
That really boils me down. And we're going to stay here and act like we are agreeing for pedophilia and that it's okay for my sister is 6 years old. In 10 years, they're going to teach her that homosexuality is okay. They're going to teach her that you can get your penis cut the hell off so you can get a vagina. It's okay as a woman. I am offended that there is a man telling me he can give birth.
Yes.
Taking our uteruses.
Your president is not going to change that. Your president is not going to
The
change that.
Democrats is going to institute all of that.
Your president is not going to change that, though.
No problem.
You can't legislate morality. You cannot legislate morality. We may want to, but you're not going to be able to legislate morality. You can't legislate what's in a man's heart or in a woman's heart.
You have the biggest hand in it. That's common sense. And as a person of God and you don't see that, I don't even know. I don't even know. Because it's right there plain in sight. And that's what pisses me off. It's okay. It doesn't matter. I can be gagged and you know why? Because they're normalizing it. Everybody in my sociology class did not like me because I said we're not going to sit here and normalize it.
Okay, so lying doesn't matter. Everybody lies.
Y'all lie about the times and all.
So what you're doing then, what you're saying is you're picking and choosing which sin is acceptable. That's what you're doing. You're saying everybody lies, everybody steals, but everybody ain't gay, right? So you can't choose which sin because it's all sin. It's all sin. So you be mad, be big mad about it all.
It's being forced upon me against my will too.
That's what it is at the end of the day.
I'm not out here forcing my Christ on people.
So you shouldn't support your sexuality.
I just already walk in dominion and power because everything has a vow if I come in the name of the Lord.
So you think this president is out here representing the Lord Jesus? That's what you're saying? I want to be very clear about that. That's what you're saying? That's what this president is doing. He's espousing the Lord Jesus Christ when they're stealing children that are not white from other countries, and they're taking them and putting them in Christian orphanages that are profiting from children being separated. But we as Black people ought to know something about separation, but we ain't got no problem with that. Y'all go ahead with that. Y'all go ahead with that. But I guess it's because he's against.
I got a problem with blood
makes it okay.
more than I do with children being separated from their families because as I see, my Bible reads that Esther was separated from both of her parents and was raised up to be a queen. So see, when you say something like that to me, God could be blessing them kids to have the opportunity to be
as a mother of 4 girls, I can tell you the truth. Anybody who thinks they're taking my children away from me because they have the opportunity to be a queen, to be president of this country, and you think that that's a good thing, I have a problem with that. I'm not going to say I question your Christianity. What I'm going to say is I question where you are as a woman, because that is problematic.
But what I just said is Bible
from them. You don't take their children because that's the same thing that they did to the Indians. Do we not know that? Do we know our history? That's the exact same thing that they did to the Indians. They separated them from their people and they anglicized them. They cut off their hair. They forced the Bible on them because they thought it would be better for them. That's not what you do to people. That's not Christ-like. That's not the God that I serve.
The God that I serve makes designations for land. Before I was born, before the earth was formed, if God said this land is going to be used for this, it didn't matter who occupied it. If they were in the way of the purpose and will of God, they had to go, no matter which way it had to come. See, this is why I don't understand how people are saved and they claim to know God and they Bible and they don't know Him or His ways.
I don't know
You
who they
think
are that
your
you're talking about,
feelings
because it's
about
not
everything
me,
gonna
because I
change?
don't believe that America was purposed by God the Christ.
He
But if you say
told
that you
us
got
that
scripture, then show me that. If you're talking about Israel as a
All right,
nation
we're gonna
being
get
established
Ezra.
in
Women, we can't
1948, I
argue
can
no
get
women.
with
So,
you on
Ezra,
that.
Pastor, go
I
ahead.
can get with you on that. But if you're talking about this here country, these
Wait a
United
minute.
States, no
Let me
ma'am.
mute down for
No,
just 1 second. Let me mute these New York women. Let's talk to some Michigan pastors for a minute. Y'all just calm down 1 second. I'm loving the show. It's straight talk. I'm enjoying all opinions. It's only straight talk. I like when black women, you can't argue. I can't argue y'all.
I lost my train of thought.
I can't, y'all going. Black women for you. Nobody can argue a black woman. Yeah. I enjoyed it though. Go ahead, Pastor.
I think we're looking at some things in a way that both men are half and half in some things. Trump
Right.
upholds a lot of the biblical aspects of things that we hold dear to our hearts, right? But the hate and the rhetoric that he spits and spews everywhere makes it very difficult. So I see where everyone gets into a bag and they're, get bagged up into what Trump does. But then I do see where people get hung up with Biden, because you got to remember, when Biden and Obama was in office, they pushed more for the agenda of homosexuality than they did for Black America. Homosexuality got more rights than Black America, and we've been fighting this war for some time now. So that was like people was like, hey, what happened? We got a Black president. It's perfect time now to get into let the Black agenda be made known, and it's just let down. So I think now you got people now, and I think you got a lot of the millennials, the Black millennials now, does not trust the Democratic Party like we think they do, and a lot of them don't trust the Republic. Realistically, you can't trust neither one of them. You better trust God.
Somebody finally said it. What I don't like is that we're covering, pushing the Democrats and demonizing the Republicans. The truth of the matter is, I'm gonna go say this. I'm gonna say it again. Try to get on me. But I'm gonna say it again. Until Black people come together, we're going to have to learn how to do business with the Jew and the white man. Until we come together. America was not built for us. It was built on our backs, but it wasn't built for us. So therefore, the only thing that's going to help Black America is Black people. 3,612 people died under President Obama's tenure. All right? It was lower than a couple more, but they died in Chicago. All right? What is America going to do? We jump on Trump and go hard, but people, we shoot each other like we're dogs.
Yeah.
We kill each other like we animals. All right? So we got to understand, but let me tell you something, man. I really don't care if Donald Trump, what he thought about me and what he said about me. If we can do some business and I can die and leave my kids some millions, we're going to do some business. Because y'all ain't got nothing to offer me. What y'all got to offer me? I'm asking Sean now, she didn't calm down. We had to put him in the top room. What y'all gonna offer? What is Black America gonna offer us? I can't play.
Let me go back and address your.
I can't play basketball no more. I can't run like I used to. I can't jump like I used to. I'm not a rapper. I'm not an actor. I'm not gonna put on a dress to act. So what can Black America offer me? Who's in position to change lives?
I don't know.
Migo said we got a lot of new money, but we ain't got a lot of old money. All right.
Well, we're not going to have old money, because if you take it back 400 years, we were the money. Slaves were the currency. So you're not going to have new money. But to answer your question, I'm going back and then I'll go forward. When you talk about 3,612 people dying in Chicago under President Obama's watch, what I want to say is, where is Black America with the down ballot? Because the president can't come into your state. Every state is sovereign. So you're not going to have martial law and the president come in and enact law and say it's going to be this, it's going to be that. That's up to what is happening in that state. So what is it about Chicago? And I've never lived there. My husband has. But what I'm not foolish about is the fact that we do fight spiritual wickedness in high places. I do believe that there are principalities in each of these regions. I do believe that there's a murderous spirit lying over Chicago, and specifically
you're going spiritual on me. You're going spiritual on me. You went spiritual on me. Now, see, you jump spiritual.
No, but I'm coming back, Bishop. I'm coming back.
Okay.
With that being the case, I wonder, and I said this up front, I've never lived in Chicago. I know that a lot of great singers, I know that a lot of great pastors have come out of Chicago. What's going on with the church, black and white and Puerto Rican, to say, hey, we got to combat this spiritually, because there's some things you got to pray and fast over. It ain't going to come out no other way.
Well, let me tell you,
that can be legislated, but I haven't seen it. So I don't know why that falls at the feet of Trump or Biden or Obama, when you've got mayors in place, you've got your congressmen, you've got your senators in place, and they're not doing anything.
Well, first of all, black people hear fast. I never said it was Obama's fault that they were killed. I do believe they killed Mayor Washington. Most of the Cunninghams, my family, moved from Chicago to Michigan. The reason they moved to Chicago is because my grandfather's been killed up some Klansmen from Arkansas that didn't move to Chicago. So all of our family, I live in Chicago. Most of my family is in Chicago.
Okay.
It happened because after they killed Mayor Washington, Mayor Daley, all right, because of gentrification, they tore down the Ivy Wells, they tore down a lot of the projects, and the gangs were there. And, the projects came through the Raddish experience, and they just the gentrification, and they put on the projects, and they just sent these families everywhere. Some of them they gave loans and went to the Maywood, they went to the suburbs, the west suburbs, they gave them credit, did all of this kind of stuff, right? And Chicago is besides New York, is one of the largest gang influence in the world.
Yeah.
And they locked up one of the chiefs, our chief, Larry Hoover, all right? King Hoover, they locked him up, gave him like, what? Because of the violence of the crime, this administration is working with Mr. Hoover to try to get him out, to bring some hope to the south side and the west side of Chicago, to bring some organization and some leadership back into Chicago. Because Chicago gangs were birthed, and they were not birthed to kill each other. They were birthed to protect themselves against police brutality, just like they was in Compton and Inglewood. Gangs were not birthed to kill each other. All right, the CIA understood why gangs were developed, and so they flooded communities with drugs and heroin to dismantle them. Because anything we get together on, they dismantle us. They're the biggest murderers that ever walked the earth. So we understand that. And so my point is, when we became the Democrat and they socially engineered us, it hurt us. It hurt places like Chicago. The Democratic Party locally, all right, jurisdictionally hurt Chicago. Being Democrat ran city hurt Chicago because they social engineered a lot of black folk. That's why Minister Louis Farrakhan is not a Democrat. And he has a black voice. Why is it the minister a Democrat? It's because the Democratic parties have socially engineered and hurt black people, and most of us are Democrats and don't even know why. Sean, we don't even know why.
Well, I think that you're right, that most of us don't know why. Most of us haven't done our history, because if we look and we go back to Reconstruction, when blacks were coming out of slavery, you did have the largest number of black lawmakers, and they were Republicans. However, what we have seen is that the political parties have continued to morph based off of sheerly economics. So you had the Dixiecrats, who are now the Democrats. You also had Republicans who started off one way, but then they morphed, and now they're here where they are, where they, in my opinion, are not as embracing of a lot of things that may be dear and near to Black people, but we're also seeing that Democrats are not either. And so there is a surgence coming for a third party. When that would take place, I'm not really sure, because you've got one coin, right? And if you've got a quarter, it doesn't matter. It's still a quarter, whether you have it on heads or if you have it on tails. It just depends on what you like that particular day. And I think for many people at this juncture, They feel like the Republicans, at least for the last, I would say 12 years, you've looked at their policies, how they've held up things. If you look and you say Obama didn't do anything as a president, we did not have the Senate. There were things that you were not going to be able to do at all because you have 3 separate chambers of government and how they function. And so I think so many of us as Black people forget that the president can't do every single thing. If government is functioning on all cylinders, there's supposed to be some legislation that's going forward. First in the House, then in the Senate, then coming together as a committee, then sending that bill off to the president. We haven't seen that happen in this presidency. And I think that has fired a lot of the mistrust that perhaps kingdom-minded people have, but also people who are not kingdom-minded, but are also, let's get ready for it, who are mad with a lot of Christians, especially Black Christians, because folks want to tell folks how to vote and, oh, we being kingdom-minded, but you got pastors out here sleeping with women, sleeping with men, drinking, drugging, stealing. And listen,
man, why y'all always want to whoop the
Not
pastor?
Okay, but wait a minute. Let's go
Y'all
back
want
to
to
the
whoop the
part where you
pastor?
said legislation hasn't been passed. Because there's been a whole lot of legislation that has passed through the House, the Senate, and the White House under President Trump's presidency. It just doesn't get reported on. But if you go to the legislative branch website and start looking up these bills that have passed both houses and the president has signed off on it, it has been a lot. As a matter of fact, they have passed a whole lot during this pandemic that they never seen come across Fox News, CNN, MSNBC. I think I seen it one place, and that was BBC or either PBS. But they have done it. They've been doing a lot.
Mitch allows them to do. They're doing what the Senate allows them to do. I mean, and that's something that we have to look at, because the House has a lot of bills in place that would actually help Black people. When you look at that contract with Black America, you can extrapolate a lot of things that the House has already passed, but it hasn't passed Mitch McConnell's desk yet. And so,
Sure. So let me ask you this question, all three of you. Let me ask all three of you.
No,
Let me
but
ask all three of you all this
they have
question.
passed and been signed by the
Let me ask all
president
three.
being reported. There's a lot of stuff that
Let me
has
ask you all
passed
this
since
question.
March.
All right. President Obama was a president for all, right? He was the president. He had. It wasn't necessary that he was gay, but he honored the gay rights, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, he fought for
right, he was the president of everybody.
He went and laid down his life for them.
We never called Obama gay, did we?
No.
Okay. So I think that's another twist of it. Have you ever considered that?
But they say he is gay, though. I'm just saying saying that.
Have you ever considered that President Trump is a master marketing guru versus a racist? Wait, let me ask you a question. Don't you know he knew that there was a sector of Americans that was tired of a Black president, and that if I can awaken that sector and paddle their vote and cater their vote, I can get in the presidency?
Oh, that's
I don't believe you can be a blatantly racist like he is and do that amount of business with Black people. I think he is a marketing genius. So he's catering to a certain sector, just like Obama catered to the youth and those the internet and the millennials. He catered to white America. That was racist.
Got elected, but Donald Trump did say that. Donald Trump said these people are so stupid and racist, I could say anything and they are going to elect me. And guess what?
Yes.
That's what they did, because we all know prior to Donald Trump doing that, he was always a Democrat, always for hip hop, always for that reality TV Hollywood stuff, and did a lot of business with Black people.
It's
if we
marketing.
The early 90s with that whole thing that happened with him and Arsenio Hall, and when things went down with Arsenio Hall, he fought for him and he couldn't understand why Arsenio Hall got treated that way. You know, all that kind of stuff Donald Trump was doing. So when he came out and said that, I was like, this fool gonna run for president for real. And he said it, and then he did it, and they elected him like they're going to elect him now. Because I think one thing that everybody forgetting is, yeah, we got the power of the Black vote, but please stop underestimating the power of the Black vote, because there's a lot of people that's not taking polls, they're not answering their phone, they're not being questioned, they are quiet, and they are gonna vote for Trump. I know a whole lot of Black people that's being quiet and they voting for Trump. they've already voted for Trump because they know the truth. So when we sit there and we look at that, Donald Trump won also because he wasn't a part of the establishment. He's not a politician. He's a businessman. That's why the economy has done as good as it was his whole presidency. We can't ignore these
I
things.
think he's a marketing genius. He's a
He's
marketing
a
genius.
genius.
I'm-
'Cause
And then, yes,
You-
what's the Pastor?
You remember the other couple weeks ago when he everybody was in the uproar because he didn't denounce the white supremacists?
Yeah.
right.
That?
Mhm.
Now I said this, and I told my wife, I said he would have to been a dummy to
He wasn't gonna mess his money up.
because he would have lost every vote because you think all the black folks are gonna turn around and say, I'm gonna vote for you now? No.
Right.
He would have
And it
one
would have
vote.
messed his money up. He wasn't gonna mess his money up. I told people that when he didn't say it. I was
Yeah.
like, he's gonna mess his money up the same way Joe Biden went and denounced the legislature. Joe Biden did the same thing during that
Well,
same debate,
well,
and
let me
nobody
say
wanted
this,
to call him on it.
Leslie Farrington said, lying to the he didn't lie. He told y'all it's the China virus. It was made in China. It was made where it was made, and he blocked China immediately. I mean, people want to say he lied to the country about. People say, let me tell y'all something. You all, let me just say y'all something. I'm about to get this. You all say this man is dumb. You say he's ignorant. You say he's a fool. His base is, he's all the egregious negative words in colloquial terms you can name.
But he the
Y'all
president.
are so smart. You're so brilliant. But this man is the president and one of the richest men in the world. Who's dumb and who's not? When you die, you ain't gonna leave your children nothing. When he die, his blessing is going down to 7 generations. Well, who's the dummy? I'm asking you the question.
Because the Bible says a wise man leaves an inheritance to the third and fourth generation. Because these folks out here just don't know their Bible either, Bishop, now. Because the Bible says that a wise man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. And for those of y'all who want to find it, it's in the book of Proverbs, if you just in case you don't know.
You also gotta remember this. He is not a politician.
He's not.
Right? No, he's not.
He's not a politician, y'all. He's a regular man, just like you and I.
And you know what? Let me tell you something.
No money.
You know why the white man is mad at Donald Trump? Because he's revealing how they really act.
Exactly. He exposing it all.
He's exposing it all. He ain't got no. I'd rather deal with a guy I know where he's coming from. That these northern white guys is different from southern rednecks. You gotta understand there's a different type of white man. There's a hillbilly, there's a redneck, and then there's a regular business blue card white man. Rednecks and hillbillies are not scared of you because you're black. They're not scared. If they don't like you, they're gonna put their Confederate flag next door to your house. It's different from being in Detroit and Chicago when you're dealing with the southern white man that don't care, that's gonna tell you how it is. Different. So you gotta understand, people who's not going to live the kids. You're not Black American. You one person. The average Black person, did a statistic, don't even have life insurance.
That's true.
And so I'm sitting up here thinking, and then I'm sitting up here thinking how everybody's calling this man dumb and illiterate. And he projected to win the highest office in the country, and he won. See, whether he erased or not, I'm looking at myself like, what is this cat doing that's working? Because what I'm doing, preaching to Black folks, ain't working like that. Playing basketball ain't working like that. I can play ball, but they won't let me be an owner in the NBA. They won't let me be an owner in the NFL. What he's done, so, and I ain't saying I agree with him everything he said, but you can't just make it seem like he's just trash. He's just garbage. You can't bring it like that, because what are you bringing to the table?
Now, I do believe this, that if he makes it for a second term, I believe the true Donald Trump is going to be revealed.
Yes.
Because then he no longer has to appease to the racist people that elected him the first time.
So Gerald said he's a horrible businessman, but yet he's a billionaire.
We don't know that.
Every city you go to, I was just at this place in New York. It got Trump Towers. Ain't no Perry Towers.
I don't know that
You know
means
what?
he's a billionaire. I think if we continue to dig deep, not just watching CNN, not just watching
God.
Fox and these other
The
places.
man daddy had dope money. The man daddy was a millionaire before he even was born.
He was, but you also read that he blew through the $400 million that he got from his father, and that he's
That's what they said.
That's
He
what
didn't say
they
that.
said.
That's what they said.
Here's what
And
we
don't
here's
all
what we do know.
reported
Here's what
money
we do know. He admitted it in his town hall. He owes $500 million personally. That's $500 million that he owes personally, not his businesses. And to his own admission, that's small potatoes. That's nothing. It's like it doesn't even matter. But what we also know, he didn't tell you who he owes it to. We also know that we've not seen a tax return from him, right? Because
the tax returns are public, honey. So now you're just repeating what you've heard on the news. The tax returns
okay.
are public.
His tax returns are not public. And if they're public, honey, show me the receipts, because he ain't put them out, because he said out of his own mouth that he's under audit. And after he comes from under audit, he will release them. So either they're public or they're not. Your president said they're not. That's what
they're
he
public.
said.
Go look it up.
Let me just say this for Black America. Let me just say this for Black. I'm coming straight to y'all, so you all know. I ain't telling y'all to vote for Trump or nobody. I want Trump to win. Number one. Number two, let me tell you, let me say this second one. Let me say this. That I'm gonna continue to say it. Until Black America come together, I'd rather deal with Trump than deal with Biden and Kamala. Kamala locked too many of us up. See, you see life through your own life experiences. Until you are heard brothers that's in the bed that's doing 10 and 20 years without even having drugs on their first offenses, doing 20 years and doing 30-year bids on 2 snitches and they ain't never found no drugs, and Biden and all those guys push that agenda. Man, Black families and their sons are hurting because of people like
So
Kamala
Bishop,
Harris.
if you're gonna put it at Kamala's feet, if you're gonna put it at her feet, and if you're gonna put it at Biden's feet, then you must be putting it at the feet of the 12 congressional Black caucus members who pushed for the crime bill. You must be putting it at the feet of the 41 Black pastors, who some of them were Kojic, 10 of them to be exact.
No.
Well, we already see what's happening to the Kojic folks anyway.
No.
She enforced that crime bill that Biden.
They didn't force it.
Real good.
What
They
Kojic
signed
pastors?
off on it actually to help Bill Clinton's presidency, because they also thought it would help them down ballot. And if you remember back in the 90s, crime and crack was running rampant. There were Black pastors. Let's talk about Kurt Schmoke, who was the mayor of Baltimore at the time, pushing for this crime bill to come forth. But not only was there the crime bill,
they were
also
pushing it
had
because they told them they didn't
Violence Against Women's
no more
Act that
money.
was included in that.
That pastor in Baltimore wasn't Kojic.
No, I didn't say
He
pastor
was
there. I said
AME.
no. What I said is Kurt Schmoke was the
He
mayor
was the
of
mayor.
Baltimore.
But the
So
reason
what
why
I'm saying is that you had just as many Black pastors, Black lawmakers who pushed for this. So let's don't make this be about Biden and they did it. That's not true. But I'm happy to show you the receipts after we get off of here. You can read it for yourself.
That the states and cities will get no more federal dollars without that legislation. So they were forced to push for it. They were forced to vote for it and accept it if they still wanted federal dollars to help out their state and their cities. That's the backdrop of it. It is written in the legislation that if they didn't push for the legislation, the state would get no more money, and they had to vow to build a certain number of prisons per year in order to get federal dollars for their state. What do
you all have to say with Kenneth? Kenneth said no one in office is worried about the Black agenda because no one that has a platform is going to up to the White House to force the House to give us what we ask for.
The White House doesn't have the ability. That's the number one issue right there. You're barking up the wrong tree. All of us are barking up the tree of the president, like he can do this, he can do that. He can't.
No.
Let's go back to
You're
10th grade
barking.
civics. It's 10th
You're
grade civics
barking.
with the House and with the Senate. Those are the two lawmaking bodies. All the president does is sign off on the bill or veto it and send it back. That's all he has the ability to do.
Okay, let me tell you this. This is what Black people need to do. This is pathetic. We need to pass the bills that we can everybody that's in prison are not criminals. A lot of times, people in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I agree with Kenneth Dennis said. As Kenneth Dennis said, it's important for us to get back our home structure right. I don't care about what no white man do. It's my responsibility for me and my children.
Yeah.
That's what I'm sick of. I'm really sick of the people arguing with Democrats, arguing with Republicans, and they ain't gonna come help you. It's your responsibility. It starts with black men. First of all, if we father the children that we produce, number one, if we father and educate and be responsible for the children that we produce, and then we come in and police our own neighborhood, get our own party, all right? Until then, we ain't got nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
We got to stand up and get our own party. Until then, it's not going to happen. But there's a different type. We are not one American Negro. We are two types of Negro. We the have and have nots. The have Negroes is just as worse than the white racists because they think they're better than you. What's better than a white racist? What's worse than a white racist? A Negro who thinks he's white. So we in two.
On the black privilege.
Right, on the black privilege. We got two types of Negroes.
Yeah.
So LeBron James chances his son is not going to be stopped and shot. All right? If you ain't in the hood at 2 in the morning, they ain't going to his suburban house and kicking the door and do what they do to everybody else. So you all have to understand, everybody has to understand, until we get together, we ain't going to get nowhere. Period. That's right. We're not going to get nowhere. So you might as well just got to dance with the devil until we change DJs.
We barely even got together when the marches happened.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm gonna say this. Y'all know what? I hate to say this, but some of these white racist demons that's out here, I think they're gonna mess up so bad that we're gonna be forced to come together.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna be forced to come together. The only time black people really come together is in acts of violence. We don't come together all the time. 911, we was coming together. When your boy got shot up, we was coming together. We come together for acts of violence, not against each other, but when somebody kill us. So I believe in America, the wrong person is going to get killed to force us to come together. But now, without bloodshed, we ain't coming together. Trust me, mark my word. Without bloodshed, we ain't coming together. We ain't even together in church. I mean, y'all are Baptists. What is a Baptist? A denominator? What is a culture? What is a Pentecostal? He was a Negro saved by grace. We don't even come together as black Christians. Yeah. I ain't talking about the
none of them denominations should even exist, Bishop, if we all believe in Jesus Christ.
And the PAWs and culture gang like we in the gangsters and disciples and vice lords. Y'all mock people. You don't even come to their churches. I ain't have a pastor come to my church yet to see about me. Man, I don't want to hear that crap. And we don't even come together in the church.
No.
Well, I'm coming down there soon. So y'all Rona numbers is too high for me. That's the only reason why. We've been trying to come get some cheesecake, but I'm like, I don't want to get sick trying to go get shrimp.
Let me tell you something. I don't know no greater orator than T.D. Jakes. I don't know no greater expository preacher than Bishop Noel Jones. I don't know no greater businessman and administrator like Bishop Charles Blake. How many white men go to their church?
Yeah.
They don't follow us like we follow them.
Secretly, they calling them, asking them for wisdom, though. Secretly, the white pastors is doing what them black men tell them to do.
Yeah.
Let's just be real. Let's just tell the truth now.
Yeah.
Come on now. We acting like these folks survive without us. They don't survive without us. They need our brains.
America don't survive without us. That's what we need. That needs to be a logo. America don't survive without us.
And that's probably the biggest secret out there, because with all of these different things, it's like you playing whack-a-mole. You got the black church congregations against each other, right? Kojic against Baptist, Baptist against this, the people shooting against.
But my Bible says none of that should exist. So what Bible is they reading and believing? That's all I want to know.
Well, you got to remember, most of our white brothers and sisters, their churches, which are mega churches. I'm here in Texas, and you drive down the street. It's a mega church on every corner here.
Right.
But
In Texas is better. And they ain't even on TV.
yeah, exactly. But here's the thing, though. Most of them guys are very well. They're very good businessmen. Their church is a business. It is.
But black churches don't understand that they're supposed to be conducting business too, and transacting business and owning land and having assets and different things. Like I know of some churches that own shopping centers where Food Lion pays them rent, pays the church rent to use the building. But yet in the black church, we'll say, "Oh no, we supposed to be poor and we ain't supposed to be doing that."
Right.
See, now wait a minute. See, now I got it. Gerald sound like an Uncle Tom. He been around Grand Rapids, Michigan too long with them Dutch folks. It's irresponsible to be concerned about your household. Stop right there. If every black man was responsible for their own household,
we wouldn't be in this
we
mess.
wouldn't even be in this situation.
You can't have unity in the community if you don't have unity in your house. If
Household,
you don't have a
Exactly.
mother and a father there in that household, how
Now
do
this
you want to have
Negro
somebody to rear that young boy?
All four of us that agreed on something. All four of us that agreed. Oh Lord.
That is a God. but those are facts. And people get upset. Sometimes you get black women who are single mothers. They upset because they say, "Oh, you know, I'm mother and father." Facts. You're not. You're not.
You're not, because you'll never be a man, and it ain't my fault that you gapped your legs open and became a single mother.
Well,
so
on the other side,
I've been a
we're
single
gonna keep
mother.
it real because at
I
least
thought
mama
I
did
was
keep
grown.
that baby.
I was
Mama
a
didn't abort
teenage
that
mother,
baby, did she?
So
we talking big about abortion. Mama kept that baby, and
I sure
daddy
did.
walked
I had two on my first go round, and I was 16.
Yeah.
She's a testimony, and her daughters graduated with honors from A&T.
Awesome.
And we ain't got no babies up in here.
See, this is what I'm saying. Black, our home structure. I'm telling you what's hurting us. The home structure in the black church has hurt the black community.
And just being honest about it though, Bishop, because like the young woman said about what was going on in her particular household, she owned it, right? So many people get defensive about what they went through without saying, you know what, this happened, it shouldn't have happened. I should have done this or I should have done that. We don't want to own it. We fight with each other about stuff, and then we don't talk about to our daughters or to our sons, hey, if I got a son, I don't want you engaging in sexual activity. Or if you're going to engage in sexual activity,
the dude left.
He left. You know, choosing wisely.
No, how about the dude was never there? How about he was never see? Let's come on now. See now we done changed it. See, you know this so much. See, what we not fit to do is start blaming dudes for everything when we already know we more faster than the male anyway. We see this in kindergarten when little girls be trying to get little boys to touch them, and the little boys like, "Ooh, that's nasty." So come on now, let's just be real.
Because
you was a side chick from the start, and you thought he was gonna leave his wife, and now you still looking stupid at the consequences of your
that does happen, but I want to take it back to the little girl. I want to take it back to the little girl where I think there's an over sexualization of young girls. We sit out here and we say that they're fast, but what we don't do, we don't talk about the body from a physiological perspective, and knowing that if you rub someone's vagina or if you rub the penis, the way that the body is set up is it does feel good. There is pleasure that is going to be derived there. But
I really don't think that little boys get the feeling until they're about 12 to 13 years old. I don't think that their bodies are like ours.
Yes, it is. Now those right there, those physiological facts. That's how God created our body. But what we have to do as mothers and fathers is be able to tell our children that when you're feeling that sensation, when someone does that to you, that is not correct. This is what is called bad touch. Nobody should be touching you in your private area to arouse you in any kind of way.
Well, I don't know. In my house, we keep it real. In my house, we keep it real. We don't label nothing with no nicknames. They have vaginas. My son have a penis.
I get it.
We have breasts. And when penis meets vagina and sperm meets egg, it makes baby. And ain't nobody supposed to be touching your penis or your vagina or your breast or feeling on your booty. To my daughter, the only person supposed to be touching you is me because I bathed you in the shower, and your sister, unless if I tell her to. Anybody else that touch you, you need to tell me. I'm not scared of them. Nobody can beat me. They can't kill me because I will kill them first if they touch you. We keep it real in here. Look, my she knows. We don't play no games around here.
Yeah, I don't disagree with anything that you said. I have 4 daughters, so having 4
Yes.
daughters, I keep it all the way real.
Oh, God.
What I do recognize is that many times we have said some things to young girls that we shouldn't have. We have over sexualized them. We have said that they're fast, they're this, they're that. And what I find is that we don't put the same kind of assertion on young men. And
I do.
So if we're going to raise up young men and young women of standard, the word has to be the same. It's not like, oh, that's my boy.
It is
He's
the
sowing
same.
wild oats. Because if he's sowing wild oats, it's with somebody's daughter.
But I mean, if we claim to be so saved, then it's gonna be the same, right? Because purity is the same for all of us.
It
So there ain't no
should
way
be.
I'm teaching purity to my daughters and not teaching purity to my son.
That's
But I also
right.
have to teach purity to my son in the context of God created you to be a male. You're going to be visually aroused and visually attracted. However, you're supposed to subdue the flesh and beat it into subjection.
Yeah.
Okay, so the same way that my daughters are taught that, my son have to be taught that too. Now, I don't care what they go and do, but what I do know is that the foundation of Christ is laid, and eventually one day they will convert to the perfect will of God for their life. But
All right, I gotta go. We gotta continue this. Tell you this. Tomorrow, what time they gonna be counting tomorrow?
Oh God, it's gonna be all night.
Oh, I ain't going nowhere tomorrow. These
Tomorrow,
streets
I
ain't
want
safe.
y'all to be safe. I want y'all. We're gonna get on at 9 o'clock. The same. I'm gonna give y'all the link. 9 o'clock. We're gonna have our
The streets
talk
ain't
watch
safe
party.
for the next 3 days, Bishop. The streets
All
ain't
right,
safe.
yeah, for the next 9 o'clock. 9 o'clock. We're gonna be doing our watch party for the talk. Cause I in Georgia. I need Sean, I need Kendra, and I need somebody smooth as fast. Cause y'all are going at that makes it good. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. It was awesome. Good night.
I
We'll see
enjoyed
y'all
it.
tomorrow.
Thank you for having
All right.
me.
All
I
right.
enjoyed talking with
God bless
both of you.